I'm Susan Kohler Ray, and I'm going to tell you the true story of the Three Little Pigs. This story is told by Alexander T. Wolf, written down by John Siezaski. Now, Alexander was a great wolf. He was kind and compassionate. He loved his grandmother, and it was her birthday, so he decided to bake her a cake. Now, Alexander had been sick before, and he was just getting over a sneezing cold. But he wanted to do this special thing for his grandmother, so he started to bake a cake. And he got started, and all he needed was a cup of sugar. He had everything else, but he needed a cup of sugar. So he decided, I'll just go to my neighbor's house and see if he has a cup of sugar. So he walks down the road and comes to the first little neighbor's house, and this is a little pig. Now this little pig isn't very bright. He built his house out of straw. Now Alexander reaches up to knock on the door, and the door falls in. So Alexander calls in, little pig, are you home?" And there was no answer. And Alexander was turning to leave when the sneezing fit happened. And he started sneezing and huffing and puffing, and that little straw house just fell right down. And there on the ground was that little pig. He had been in there the whole time, and he didn't answer Alexander. So he was dead as a doornail. So Alexander, being a good wolf, couldn't just leave old pig laying around. So he decided to eat it. Now, if it was a cute little cheeseburger, you'd probably eat it too, and they'd call you big and bad. But Alexander went ahead and ate the pig. And he still didn't have his cup of sugar, so he headed on down the road to the second little pig's house. Now this little pig was a little bit smarter. He built his house out of sticks. And Alexander knocked on the door and goes, little pig, are you home?" And little pig yelled back, "Don't bother me, I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin." So Alexander thought, well, that's very rude, but he decided to just go on to the next neighbor. So he was turning around to leave when the sneezes started happening again, and he was huffing and puffing and sneezing his head off, and that house just fell right down. Now there was that little pig laying there on the ground, just as dead could be. So he ate him up again. Now he was beginning to get a little fat from eating two little pigs, but he still didn't have his cup of sugar. So he headed on down the road to the next little pig's house. And this little pig was the brains of a family. He built his house out of bricks. So Alexander gets to the house and he knocks on the door. Little pig, are you home?" And the little pig yells back, "Don't bother me, leave me alone." And Alexander said, "I just need a cup of sugar for my dear old grandmother's birthday cake." And that little pig said, "Well, your grandmother can sit on a tack." Well, that did not make Alexander very happy at all. You don't talk about somebody's grandmother. So he started pounding on the door, and at this time he started having a sneezing fit, and just having a big old fit and sneezing and knocking and just throwing this big old fit. And the little pig had called the cops, and the cops show up, and he was still sneezing and having a fit. And they hauled Alexander T. Wolf off to jail. Now, Alexander was a kind wolf, and needing a cup of sugar for his dear grandmother's cake didn't make for a very good story in the newspapers. So the reporters found out that he'd ate the first little pig and the second little pig and turned it into the big bad wolf. And Alexander never did get his cup of sugar for dear old grandmother's cake. And this is the true story of the Three Little Pigs. And Alexander is a kind little wolf. I hope you enjoyed my story. Thank you.